G'day guys, welcome back to VTA. Today we're going to be working on a couple of different things for the 25. This video is a little bit all over the place. Going to be working on the Governor and the Magneto. Getting them both back together and fixed up and ready to go. So yeah, as I said, this video is a bit all over the place, but hopefully you enjoy it.
So like I was saying, the plan here is to put this external housing, which is all in good nick. It's not broken or anything like the other one, but the guts are they're probably savable, but they're pretty seized up and not real pretty. So hopefully we can pull the guts out of this and put it into this housing, which, as I said, is broken here, as you can see where that bolt goes through. So hopefully if we can get them swapped across, it's not too hard. I think it's just going to be a case of pulling this pin out and knocking this shaft straight out the bottom. And all this should go with, and that sort of fork assembly should hopefully stay in. So that's the plan of attack. If it isn't how it works, we'll find out, I'm sure. All right, so we got the two apart. This was out of the broken housing. This is the good guts that I want to use. See the bearing face and stuff's happy. And then this is the one that's out of the good housing. See the bearing surface and stuff is a problem. So that's my main reason for swapping them across. But I've also noticed the one that's out of the broken housing has quite a large hole in it that looks like it's been drilled out, as opposed to this one that looks like it's original. And the top of that looks all a bit beat up and worn out, whereas the top of this one looks good. So what I actually want to do is I'm going to swap this part. I think I can do it. I haven't tried it yet. Swap this part across onto this one. I'll give this a polish up so it's all nice and free moving. And then we will put it all into this housing. I also need to free this up, but I've been spraying it with a bit of WD and I'll knock it back and forth and I don't think it'll take too much. So yeah, swap the spring. I mean, the spring probably doesn't even need to be swapped. It's probably just this piece here. And it'll be all happy and ready to go. Okay, so I broke it. Essentially, from what I can tell, that bolt goes into there and you can see that little dimple on the side. I think that's actually a pin that goes in to lock this bolt. You know, from the factory, they would have set the length of that would adjust the tension on the spring, and that would adjust your maximum RPM, I imagine. So that must be set from the factory, so you can't adjust it. So what we're going to have to do is probably put this in the lathe to bore out the guts of it, to get the old thread out, and we'll get a new bolt to go through there. I have this one which I want to use the spring and everything off, but I'm going to leave it until then. Someone's brazed it back together. They've possibly done what we did, but because the end's so shagged, I would rather use this piece here. So I'm going to leave this for tonight, and Dad's away in Sydney. I'll go over to Dad's. I'll hopefully get a new bolt before then, and we will bore out the guts of that, use a new bolt, set it all up back together, and it will be happy. So we've come over to Dad's, and we're trying to sort out these bits for the Governor. So what I've done is drill out what I believe is the little stake or pin that locks the thread on this one, and we're going to stick it in the lathe to keep everything nice and square. We're going to run this drill bit up the guts of it. Perfect world, it's actually going to, now that we've taken that stake out, it should grab the thread hopefully and wind it out. But if that doesn't happen, it will run the drill down the guts of it, and we have got the right size tap. Then ideally what's going to happen is we're going to drill the stake out of this one. Then I should be able to wind the screw out, hopefully. And then we're going to assemble it onto this, and then we can put our Governor back together. So that is the plan. We'll see if we can't execute it. Right, so we've got it all just set up in the lathe here. We've got that piece held in just a 3-jaw chuck. We got the drill bit in Jacob's truck in the centering head there. So I'm just going to be super gentle. I'm not going to film it because I got to pay attention to what the hell I'm doing. And yeah, I'm just very gradually feed this in. Obviously don't want it to break, so that'll be a case of just super slowly feeding that in and see if I can drill it out. So what we've done here is, this is the good one that we're using. As I said before, we got all the bits out. The little locking screw is down in there. You can't really see it, but take my word for it. And we found this bolt, which is actually the right thread, or close enough to the right thread that's going to do the job. As you can see, it's that little bit longer, so it's replacing the bits we broke off. So we've measured it, we've done it to get it all back to the same length, and we cut the, this is the other one that was welded together and not really any good. So we've cut that one so we can pinch these bits off it, which is what we need. And now I'm going to screw it all back together, and then it can go up inside this housing and be finished off. Okay, so it's all back together. Dad got the this linkage in here freed up. So all this here now moves nice and freely. Got a bit of grease in the shaft here. That all moves freely, so we can now reassemble the governor and actually fit the governor to the tractor. So here you can see the governor all fitted up. So that's where your linkage comes from, the dashboard from the throttle lever. Basically pushes that up and down, works on the weights that are in here, and then it comes out across here. Obviously this moves forward and back, which hooks to the carby, which is obviously mounted on the manifold up there. So now that we've finished that, we'll move on to the next thing. All right, we've moved on to see if I can get a Magneto that works. So I've already been playing with this one. As you can see, I pulled the cover off it, had a bit in there. I've actually sprayed a bit of WD on everything to lube it up. This one does actually turn. Which way am I turning? That's the bit I'm turning. So that bit turns, it's not seized, so that's good. It feels pretty good inside. So the plan will be to actually test it out, see if I can get a lead on it, get the cap cleaned up. I've been cleaning out the, that was all full of mud, all those caps. So if I can get just a lead in it, and I should be able to chuck the battery drill on it and see if I can get it to throw a spark. The points are in the other end down here. If I can clean the points up and stuff, I'm hoping it'll throw a spark, and it should essentially work. If it doesn't, we'll strip it. Do have this other Magneto. This one does appear to be seized. I haven't taken it apart yet to see how badly that is. It could be very easy. It could be completely stuffed. So we'll find out. So here on this end is the points are in here, so that all spins. And then this here goes around the outside. Once you get it to sit on properly. And basically, anyway, it sits on, it locates into that there, in that section there. And that limits how far you can actually move it. And that there is your timing adjustment. So on the dash of the tractor, it's got a timing lever to adjust the timing. And also, when it moves back, you've got this cover sits vertical, and that little nipple there will touch that piece, and that's how you actually kill the ignition. So that will that's how you shut the tractor off, if you pull the timing back all the way retarded, and then it touches that one, and that's how it dies. So that's easy enough. What I'm going to do here is disassemble all of this. And I'm going to pull the points off. Just give them a clean up, because they're probably fine. They're all adjustable, so even if they're worn, if I can just clean the surfaces and put it all back together, it should be right to make it work without any dramas. Yeah, so I'll get into that. So here it is, all back together. I ended up pinching the hold down tab off the other Magneto. The one that was on there, I mean, as you can sort of see, it's a bit hard to see, it is a bit broken, and something wasn't quite right with it. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at it myself. Something just a bit broken, not quite right, and it wouldn't actually stop the cap from spinning. So this is supposed to stay stationary while that rotates, so that when this little knob comes around, it touches that, but then when you advance the timing, it comes away, and obviously the spark works. So, yeah, so basically this wouldn't work because it was broken. The other one does the job. So I swapped it across. That seems to be happy now. As you see, I can do this and it does not move. Like, it moves a tiny bit, but it's located and it doesn't rotate, which is what we want. So I'm going to hook the drill onto here. Actually, I've got to find some sort of lead. I actually don't have any old leads or anything here, but I'll find some sort of spark plug lead or something so that I can test for spark. That will be interesting. I'll figure that out and you can watch me do that. Okay, so what I've done here is I don't have any spare leads or anything, or even old ones around that I can use. So I've just grabbed a bit of whatever, a bit of electrical wire, and I have, where's the camera? There it is. Basically, I just wrapped some electrical tape around it just to make it fatter so that it will fit in the spot where the plugs go. And this one, that should be enough. The insulation will keep the wire off, so it should throw a spark. Now, I'm going to spin it with the drill. Let's see if we can see it spark. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but she's sparking pretty well. I might move the camera up close and you can see it even better. See if I can go like this. There we go. Throwing a pretty damn good spark for a Magneto that I really haven't rebuilt. I've just tidied up and made it work. So pretty happy with that. So here we are. I just popped the rocker cover off and I have turned the engine over to get one on top dead center compression, number one. So it's in, the back ones are rocking on number 4. So it's on its top dead center of its exhaust stroke. Yeah, exhaust stroke. And obviously that puts number 1 at top dead center of its compression stroke, which is where we want it. So now I'm just going to pop the rotor cover, I guess you call it rotor cover, off the Magneto, turn it until it's pointing to number 1. I'm going to make this number 1 just for argument's sake, because there's no numbers on it, so it can be whichever you want. So this is going to be number 1. So I'll turn the engine over until, turn the Magneto over until it's pointing there. Then this is what actually times the engine, keeps it all coupled together. So it's, yeah, I'll put that in there, bolt the Magneto on, and theoretically it's timed. We may need to adjust the timing slightly to get it to run nice. Obviously, we can adjust the timing when it's running, but I'd rather, if I can get this right, then I can do fine adjustments here, if that makes sense. So, oh, and there is hose clamps. I've got the original hose clamps off the old piece of hose that was there. So, all right, I'll get that sorted. So there it is, bolted back on. Got those clamps on there. I only nipped them up. They're just sitting there, but it's all timed near enough. I'll probably have to adjust the timing a little bit, but we'll find that out when it comes time to try and fire it up. We've still got a fair bit to go. Obviously, I will still have to make leads, which is easy enough. I did a video on the pacemaker doing that. And, you know, lots of little things like the, I still haven't got copper washers in there, and I've got to put the covers back on. It's got no oil in it. There's a lot of little things I have to do before we can even think about starting it. And obviously, the carby and manifold and everything needs to go back on the other side. So we're going to keep chipping away at it. There we go. We got the Magneto and the Governor both sorted out, serviced up. Had to obviously fix a bit of stuff on the Governor. And really, the Magneto just needed a good clean and lube. And it's working brilliantly. We'll have to time that later when we're ready to start the tractor. But for now, it's all mounted up. So, yeah, thanks for joining us. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.